Good afternoon, everybody. It's 1 o'clock, so we can go ahead and get started. 1 second, we have a technical difficulty. You need to turn your volume off in here.
I'm muted.
Yeah, but you have to turn your volume off on your computer. Good. Okay. Sorry about that. Welcome to the virtual joint meeting of the Center Hill RPO Technical Committee and Executive Board. I do have you guys all muted for now. When we start doing roll call voting, you will need to unmute yourself and then mute yourself back just to help avoid feedback. If you have logged in on the video call, please sign in by typing your name and organization in the chat box, as most of you have. I've seen that. And if you are calling in, please send me an email when you can and just let me know that you were on the call. As I'm sure you guys are familiar with Zoom at this point, but you can hover over the bottom of the screen to control your mute button and other settings such as the chat box. On the roll call votes, just for reference, I will be showing a list of the board members and the technical committee members, so you can follow along with that if you'd like to keep yourself muted throughout the entire time, and then unmute yourself when your name is called. Again, thank you guys for working with us through this technology and doing things a little bit differently than normal. So, but we will go ahead and get started. Chairman James Mills, I'll turn the meeting over to you to call the technical committee to order.
Okay, I'll call the technical committee meeting to order. Virginia, can you do a roll call, please?
James Mills.
Present.
Tim Bagley.
Present.
Okay. Scott Blaylock. Rodney Boyd. Andy Duggan. Mark Farley.
Present.
Alan Foster.
Here.
Shane Gannon.
Here.
Levy Glenn. Danny Hale. Wayne Hancock. Rebecca Harris.
Lloyd Williams, I'm here for Rebecca Harris.
Okay. Kurt Heischmidt.
Here.
Randy Jones. Tommy Lee.
Here.
Chad Markham. It should be.
Hey, Alan, what'd you need?
Okay. Nolan Ming.
Here.
Randy Oakes.
Is it not signed? Well, then they did sign it.
Larry Parker,
Just right there. Okay.
Kevin Robinson. Mickey Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, if it's on, if there's a signature block on the plat that's not signed, you can't sign it. So you're gonna need to tell them to go get it signed.
Tommy, you need to mute your microphone. I don't know if you heard us. Okay. Mickey Robinson, Kevin Rush,
Here.
Dean Selby,
Here.
Tim Stribling.
This is Alan Foster. I have Tim's proxy.
Okay. Greg Wilson, Tara Bogemet, and Jeff Young. Okay, we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Virginia. You should have received the minutes from our last meeting, which was May 28th. I believe it was in the packet that was sent out. So we'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve, Kevin Rush.
Second, Kurt Heischmidt.
Any discussion? Okay, Virginia, can you do a roll call on the minutes?
Yes. James Mills,
Yes.
Tim Begley,
Yes.
Scott Blaylock, Rodney Boyd, Andy Duggan, Mark Farley,
Yes.
Alan Foster,
Yes.
Shane Gannon,
Yes.
Levy Glenn, Danny Hale, Wayne Hancock, Lloyd Williams for Rebecca Harris,
Yes.
Kurt Heischmidt,
Yes.
Randy Jones, Tommy Lee,
Here. Yes.
Chad Markham, which is
Aye.
okay. Nolan May,
Yes.
Randy Oakes, Clay Parker, Kevin Robinson, Mickey Robinson, Kevin Rush,
Yes.
Dean Selby,
Yes.
Alan Foster for Tim Stribling,
Yes.
Greg Wilson, Tara Vogelman, and Jeff Young. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now we will move on to the executive board. And Mayor Robinson, I will turn this over to you to do the roll call. Or call the meeting to order, sorry.
All right, thank you, Virginia. We'll call the executive board meeting to order. We do a roll call, please.
Okay, Denny Robinson,
Here.
Tim Stribling, Alan Foster.
Yeah, Alan here for Tim.
Okay, Paul Bailey, Brent Bush, Andy Duggan, Alan Foster,
Here.
Jimmy Haley,
Here.
James Mayberry,
Here.
Josh Miller. Oh gosh, the new McMinnville mayor, I forgot his name. Is it Mr. Chastain?
Ryle Chastain?
Ryle Chastain, yes. Is he here?
No.
Okay. Randy Porter,
Here by proxy.
okay. Mickey Robinson, Ricky Shelton,
Here by proxy.
okay. Terry Lynn Weaver, Greg Wilson, and Jeff Young. Okay, we have a quorum.
All right, seeing we have a quorum, next on the agenda is to approve the minutes for May 28th, 2020 meeting. The chair will move to approve them. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion to second. In discussion or corrections for the minutes? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Okay, Denny Robinson,
Aye.
Alan Foster for Tim Stribling,
Yes.
Alan Foster,
Yes.
Jimmy Haley,
Yes.
James Mayberry,
Yes.
Randy Porter,
Yes.
Ricky Shelton.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's everybody that's here. Okay, thank you. We have a motion that carried, and we'll move now through the agenda for the Center Hill RPO Fall meeting. So this year we have had to adapt to a more remote work styles. All of us have many virtual meetings. I know you guys are very familiar with the Zoom platform now. So we do appreciate you all attending, even though we would love to meet in person. Our travel this year has been much lighter due to COVID, but we have offered, Tdot has offered 2 conferences virtually, and NATO offered their transportation conference virtually as well. And I was able to attend a few sessions from each of those conferences. As far as grants go, the city of McMinnville was awarded a community transportation planning grant for a bike and pedestrian plan to connect 5 city parks on or near State Route 55, State Route 56, and State Route 380. And McMinnville will be working with CDM Smith for the completion of that plan. Multimodal access grants, we had 2 submittals this year with the city of Smithville and the city of Sparta, and both were asked back to submit full applications. Smithville submitted to rehabilitate the intersections along Highway 70 at State Route 56 and State Route 146. And Sparta submitted to extend sidewalks along Spring Street to connect to the hospital. Both projects include development for the transit system within the region by incorporating concrete pads for bus shelters. The Rural Planning Initiative was released this year through Tdot and the RPO. This funding was directly contracted through the RPO and is a new program designed to assist distressed or at-risk communities to develop planning for their communities. It's a smaller version of the Community Transportation Planning Grant, and Center Hill submitted 3 applications, 2 of which were awarded. The purpose for those 2 plans were for McMinnville and Spencer to do bicycle and pedestrian plans. The city of McMinnville is focusing on connectivity among their centrally located schools and local neighborhoods. And the city of Spencer will focus on bike and pedestrian needs within the downtown square along State Route 30, Sparta Street, Spring Street, Billingsley Street, and Taft Drive. And both communities will be working with KCI Technologies to complete these plans. We're hoping to see applications for the Community Transportation Planning Grant available this spring for any of you that are interested in doing some planning documents for your community. And lastly, as far as RPO updates, as some of you know, I'll be leaving the development district next year to venture out as an entrepreneur. My mom and I have decided to start a coffee shop in our hometown. We're currently under renovations and don't have a set date for opening, so I'll be transitioning out in the spring. So I'll probably be around for the spring meeting just to help whoever is the new RPO coordinator, but I have enjoyed working with all of you all and getting to know you. And again, I'll be available to help until I'm completely transitioned out, so I'll keep you guys informed for that. And next we'll move on to the Tdot project prioritization. So Miss Rachel Bergman is going to present. Rachel, you can share your screen whenever you're ready.
Great, thanks, Virginia. Let me share my screen for you all.
Just realized
Can you all see that? Great.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks, Virginia. Whoops, sorry. First of all, I want to thank the RPO and the technical committee for helping us rank these projects. Before we discuss the individual projects, I do want to provide a big picture overview for those who are new to the process and those in the public who may wonder why we do this. So Tdot evaluates projects on an annual basis to determine funding priority for the next 3 fiscal years. For this cycle, Tdot is planning for the fiscal years 2022 to 2024. This draft list comes to you from Tdot's Programming and Administrative Office, who oversee a database of all Tdot projects. Every year, Tdot's executive management team develops the Comprehensive Multimodal Program, better known as the Governor's Highway Program or the 3-year plan, that is a list of project phases with dedicated funding to move forward during that time period. So as you can see on the screen, a slide called the Tdot project weights. So during the development of the highway program, the executive management team considers a number of criteria, things like traffic operations at 22%, multimodal and functional classification at 4.2%, economic development is 16%, roadway safety is 26%, and then the regional and RPO and NPO ranks at 23%. So each project is scored for each criteria and it provides an overall technical rank. You can see that RPO ranking is worth about 11% of the total score. The team looks at the technical rank and also considers the distribution of projects by the region and by the NPO and RPO to ensure projects are funded across the state. Just for a bit of a timeline of how this occurs and when during the year, in November and December, we give this projects to the NPOs and RPOs, and we have them rank and prioritize the project phases, which you all will be doing today. From January through April, Tdot develops the highway program, which then gets approved by the governor and the legislators in Tennessee. Then sometime in April, Tdot will provide the approved 3-year plan to the public. So I hope that provides a really simplified overview of that project and what we're going to be doing today. And I'm happy to answer any questions now or after this meeting. So this year, our data, because we're doing this in a virtual format, our data visualization team has come to you with a more interactive way to view and share these publicly. These are called story maps and are hosted using GIS. We hope that you all are able to use this tool for your own project discussions. And I can provide this link to Virginia for those of you who would like to see it after the presentation. As you scroll down, you'll see a map depicting all of the Tdot regions as well as the RPOs. There's a list. If you click on each of these names, if I clicked here, I would go to the Development District website for more information about the RPO's work. As you can see, this year, statewide, Tdot is considering 42 right-of-way projects, 32 construction projects, and 32 projects in preliminary engineering. That's a total of 106 projects across the state. So we can actually scroll down to Center Hill to learn more about the Center Hill project rankings. So on the Center Hill page, you'll see a project map that shows all of the projects that we're ranking in the RPO, which are coded by phase. You can scroll to the bottom of this page and actually, download this in a PDF, which will look really similar to how we've done it in the past, where it's a downloaded PDF. But today, we're just going to look at these in full screen. And to do this, we can look at each of the individual projects that we're considering today. So we do have someone here from our project development team. And so if you have any questions as I read through the projects, I encourage you to unmute yourself to ask or to send in a question via the chat box, and Virginia can read it aloud for us. So there are 9 active projects in the Center Hill RPO. The first one is in Cumberland County, and this is on State Route 28 or US 127 from near Potato Farm Road to near Hollow Lane. This is a widening project from a 2-lane to a super 2-lane, and you will be ranking in the construction phase. You'll notice here that it shows the 2019 ranking where you ranked at number 4. So today we're going to be working on the 2020 rankings, and you will be approving those. So after those 2020 rankings are approved, this story map will be completed, or it will be updated. So the next one is also in Cumberland County and on the same route, US 127. And it's the next phase, and it would be widening from a 2-lane to a 4-lane facility from near Hollow Lane to near Low Road. And we're going to be looking at the construction phase today, and that was ranked number 5 previously. Also in Cumberland County, we have the Northwest Connector on State Route 426 to near State Route 28 in Crossville. And so with this project, it's going to be constructing a 5-lane road with curb and gutter, sidewalks, and bike lanes along the existing Northside Drive and on a new location with a dedicated right turn lane. We'll be ranking on the construction today. This is a project that we'll be ranking on the project engineering or PE phase. Last year it was ranked number 3, and this is for US 70 in Canon County from on West Main Street from west of Woodbury to a new State Route 1 east of Woodbury, and this will be for various safety improvements. So this is a project in Jackson and Putnam, and it's also for spot safety improvements along State Route 96. And last year, this was ranked as PE2, and it's still in the PE phase. In the PE phase, we have the Cumberland County Rest Area, or Intelligent Transportation Systems will be right. That one's not loading. But it's State Route 135 on North Willow Ave from West Broad Street to West 12th Street. And in Warren County from near State Route 287 to near DeKalb County line. And this is for an environmental studies to widen it. And that is all the projects today. Do you guys have questions about any of those that I can help answer, or somebody from our Region 2 project development to answer?
Crossville Mayor Mayberry here. I've got a question in reference to the 127 North in Cumberland County. Pin number 100260. What happened to 0.01 and 0.05 on that particular road? you've got 3 and 4, but I don't see anything on .01, which should be from the interstate. Should be the first portion of that thing. Is that already or should it be?
Yeah. So great question. Rachel Gentry, are you able to answer that for us?
I'm not at this time, but I'll definitely take that question and talk to Robert about it. Robert was unfortunately unable to attend today, so he just asked me to sit in and take some questions for him. But I'll be happy to get that information back to you.
Rachel, it looks like on the priority sheet that you sent out to me and Mark earlier today, that the construction for that first phase was funded and moved to construction. So it's not on the priority list anymore. It has moved to the construction process.
That was my guess, but I couldn't remember off the top of my head, so I didn't want to share something that was not accurate.
That one has moved, the first phase has moved to construction.
Great, thanks, Virginia.
I assumed that, but on the printout that I got, it was not included down at the bottom.
Yeah, I believe that you received the printout from last year, since most of the projects were the same, and we were still working on developing this story map. But now that it's been developed fully, we should have everything up to date.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any more questions? Well, great. Well, I just want to thank you all again for participating in this year's project ranking and process for the Center Hill RPO. I know it's a little bit different, but we really do appreciate your help. Back to you, Virginia.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. As Rachel was saying, we have changed the process for the project prioritization this year. We sent a survey to the technical committee members that was to be completed by December 10th. And we received 17 responses out of the 27 technical committee members. And I'm going to present the rankings here for you. I'll read them as well. You can see that the 2018 and 2019 ranks are listed as well for reference. And for the construction and right-of-way projects this year, based on the surveys, in order, the first one was Cumberland County for the Northwest Connector. Ranked number 2 was Cumberland County from Potato Farm Road to Hollow Lane. The third ranking was Cumberland and Putnam County from near mile marker 285 to State Route 299 for expansion at Rockwood Mountain. And number 4 was the Cumberland County from near Hollow Lane to near Low Road. For the pre-engineering projects, they were ranked the following. And again, these are based off of the survey results by the technical committee. Number 1 was the Putnam County, North Willow Avenue from West Broad to West 12th, Cannon County, West Main Street from west of Woodbury to New State Route 1 east of Woodbury was number 2. Number 3 was Warren County from State Route 287 to DeKalb County line. Number 4 was the Jackson County and Putnam County project from State Route 53 to US 70 North. And the 5th one was Cumberland County for the rest area renovation. And again, for reference, the 2 projects listed at the bottom are the ones that have moved on to construction. So that was the Northwest Connector for US 127, and then the project in Putnam County on South Jefferson Avenue. So I will put the meeting back into Chairman Mills' hands to do the recommendation to the executive board to accept these results.
Okay, everybody's seen the rankings. I'll take a motion to recommend these rankings to the executive board.
So moved.
Farley, I'll move to make the recommendations.
Have a second?
Second.
Virginia, will you please take a roll call?
I will. Who was the second on that?
That's all you need to say.
Shane Gannon.
Shane Gannon. Okay, roll call. James Mills,
Yes.
Tim Begley,
Yes.
Scott Blaylock, Rodney Boyd, Andy Duggan. I don't think any of those have signed on. Mark Farley,
Yes.
Alan Foster,
Yes.
Shane Gannon,
Yes.
Lloyd Williams for Rebecca Harris,
Yes.
Kurt Heischmidt,
Yes.
Tommy Lee,
Yes.
Chad Markham, Jenny Wayne Robinson,
Aye.
Nolan Ming,
Yes.
Kevin Rush,
Yes.
Dean Selby,
Yes.
Alan Foster for Tim Stribling,
yes,
Tara Vogelman, I know she's here. It's okay. Okay, motion carries. Okay, so now the technical committee has recommended the project rankings to the executive board. Chairman Robinson, I will turn this over to you to do to accept the recommendation.
All right, Executive Board, you've heard the recommendation from the technical committee. Do I hear a motion to confirm the technical committee's action?
Mayor Mayberry here. I make a motion to accept the technical committee's actions.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second, Mayor Haley.
We have a motion and a second. There's any questions or discussions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Okay, Denny Robinson,
Aye.
Tim Stribling, Mr. Alan Foster.
yes,
Okay, and Alan Foster,
yes,
Jimmy Haley,
Yes.
James Mayberry,
Yes, yes,
okay, proxy for Randy Porter,
Yes.
okay, and James Mills for Ricky Shelton.
Yes.
Okay, that's everybody. Motion carries. All right, we'll move on through the agenda. As of the last year, we have been trying to work closely with UCHRA to incorporate some of their transit needs into our grant applications, and we're going to be trying to work closer with them in the future as well. So I've got Lloyd Williams from UCHRA to give a brief update. Maybe. Are you muted, Lloyd?
There it goes. I'm clicking on it. It wasn't,
There you go.
wasn't cooperating. Yeah, hello, my name's Lloyd Williams. I'm with the Upper Cumberland Public Transportation. I appreciate Virginia giving me a few moments of y'all's time. You know, sometimes public transportation isn't considered to be part of the RPO conversation, but I do want to give you an update on the services we are providing and to share with you a few funding opportunities that we might be able to work together on. Last year alone, we done like 260,000 trips and drove over 3 million miles. And as your public transportation provider, UCHRA can apply for Improve Act Transit Capital Grants. Some of these projects could be transfer of fueling for electric car, electric charging stations, planning, park and ride lots, bus stops, right-of-way improvements. This year, we're proud to say that we were awarded bus shelter grant in 3 of our cities, Cookeville, Crossville, McMinnville, and that will help complement our deviated fixed routes and these services. Grants we have submitted is a planning grant for a feasibility study for a park and ride in Smith County. We also applied for Improve Act Transit Capital Grant. The funds will be used toward developing a transportation planning document. And that's kind of a brief overview of what we're doing right now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lloyd. All right, as you all know, Tdot has been completing the rural regional transportation plans for each of the RPOs in the state. Miss Andrea Barber and her team have been working diligently to complete these plans and have completed the Center Hill plan this year. So I'm going to have her present on this completed plan. And Andrea, are you able to get your screen to share, or would you like me to share your PowerPoint?
Hey, Virginia, to play it safe, I'm going to let you do it. I'll talk, and if you could just change the slides for me. Okay. And also Marika, she'll be chiming in as well on her slides. So,
okay, let me
good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andrea Barber, and I have been tasked with the rural regional transportation plans across the state of Tennessee. And so we have completed Center Hill's plan. And so we worked with the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Center for Transportation and Research at UTK, and then of course, our friends at the Upper Cumberland Development District in this endeavor. And this is something I also want to touch on is none of the RPOs historically have had transportation plans. This is something that the MPOs do, and they have to update them every 5 years. So this is a new exercise for all of us, but with the hopes that these plans will be updated every 5 years along with the MPO plans. Because we understand that your rural communities, counties, municipalities, have changes, and those changes will need to be addressed in future planning efforts. So, so with that, this is the first plan, but it can be amended. It's a living document. Virginia, if you could go to the third slide. Yep, there we go. So in the plan, there's an introduction and overview, discuss demographic and land use trends, regional transportation systems, goals and objectives, recommendations, and references. And then there's a reference and appendix section. I'm going to go to the next slide. So in the introduction and purpose transportation network overview, we talk about an overview of the region, the transportation network overview, and then goals and objectives. So one of the things I want to discuss is Center Hill RPO is unique in that there's been a lot of growth in that area, and that growth could definitely change the dynamic of the RPO composition. And with that mainly being Putnam County potentially being eligible to become an MPO. And so I'm just going to go over what is currently in the RPO. So you have I-40 running through the RPO. You also have state routes 26, 56, 111, 68, 127. There is one public transit agency, the Upper Cumberland Human Resource Agency. I believe Lloyd just spoke on their ridership numbers. That information is also included in the plan. There are 192 miles of designated bike routes, 0 miles of bike lanes, 29 miles of greenways, 4 airports, 3 railroad companies, and 2 officially Tdot mandated park and ride lots. And passenger rail is currently not available in the RPO. And with regards to the MPO conversation, that this part of the state is experiencing growth. And so most of that growth is occurring in Putnam County, more specifically the city of Cookeville. And so with this growth, there is a potential for a new metropolitan planning organization to be formed. And this formation would largely be dependent upon the 2020 US Census, which we've just taken this year. So that's about all I can add to that perspective of MPO, and I'm sure Andrew, Noel, and Rachel could provide more information on that, our friends at Federal Highway, but that's just something to think about in your RPO continuing to change. So next slide, goals. A goal without a plan, is a wish. And so we definitely want to have some goal setting and some actionable items to better serve you all and your transportation needs. So the goals that came out of our one-on-one meetings that we had with you all for the region are the following. There are 4 goals. Sorry, Virginia, next slide. Monitoring the region's freight traffic while supporting the movement of goods through the region, increasing multimodal access and supporting existing infrastructure, improving safety throughout the region, and then supporting the state's effort in better serving rural Tennessee. And so these were 4 general goals that all of the counties shared. And so in the back of the plan, there's a recommendation section that goes into more specific details for each county, but overall as an RPO, these are some things that you all should work towards. So in the plan, next slide, Virginia, we have to talk about the user of our transportation network. So in the plan, we discuss population trends, age, race, ethnicity, disabilities, education, income, poverty, employment, and there's some economic profiles in there. So I'm going to just go over high overview for the demographic trends. And if anybody has questions as I'm going, you can ask them in the message box, and I'll try and address them at the end of the presentation. So for population, the Center Hill RPO is currently at 241,389 people, and it's projected to increase to 200,089,919 by the year 2050. So this is about a 20% increase in growth, and the state of Tennessee is experiencing about a 23% growth rate. So that's pretty on par with the rest of the state. With regards to age, the largest age group in both the US and in Tennessee is 20 to 64-year-olds. So that's our working population. The state and national averages for 20 to 64 are both 59%. And so the Center Hill RPO is comparable to the state national averages. So this RPO is pretty on par with what's happening not only in the US, but also in the state of Tennessee. Persons with disabilities, the counties of the Center Hill RPO generally have slightly higher disability rates than those of Tennessee as a whole. And so the disability rate is ranging between 14 to 25% in the Center Hill RPO. So it's a little higher than the state of Tennessee at 15%. Employment, I'm sorry, Virginia, these are slides. There should be an employment slide. There you go. Okay. So employment, and I'm just going to provide the definition of employment. Employment is defined by the U.S. Census Bureau as any civilian 16 years old or over who either is not at a place of employment, actively looking for employment, or a person able to accept a job due to currently being unemployed. So the unemployment rates in Tennessee and the US are just under 4% as of 2018. Nearly all counties within the Center Hill RPO experienced comparable unemployment rates when compared to state and national averages. And so the range was between 4.9 and 11% within your RPO. And then for income, we looked at household mean income and family mean income. And so the two are a little different, but they do correlate. So, and this is important when we look at our transportation users, in that household and family were analyzed. Household is defined as people who occupy a housing unit regardless of their relationship in the household, whereas family is defined by one or more people living in the same household who are related by birth, marriage, or adoption. So you could have a household that's one person, you cannot have a family that is one person. And so that makes a difference when you're talking about income. So the Van Buren County had the lowest household mean income at $49,322, and the family mean income was at $57,532. Canon and DeKalb counties, they had the highest household mean income at about $60,000 and $64,000. And then the highest family mean income was in DeKalb County at $74,000, and then followed by Putnam County at $72,000. Whereas Tennessee's household mean income is $71,000, and family mean income is $84,000. And that number is also higher for the US family mean and household income. So a little less than the state average for those numbers, but that gives you the breakdown within the RPO. Also, the next slide, poverty. In the Center Hill RPO, in each of the 7 counties, the percent of children living in poverty ranged between 23% to 37%. And the state and national averages are between 19 and 23%. So again, a little higher in comparison to the state and national averages. So next, we've talked about the users, so now we have to talk about land use. And land use in Center Hill RPO is predominantly agricultural, followed by residential uses in the public lands. And though agricultural lands make up nearly 75% of all land use across the RPO. And then there's residential, industrial, and commercial uses near existing towns. And so this just provides a breakdown. And a lot of this information I'm moving very quickly through, but it is in the planning document. So next in the plan, we discuss regional transportation systems. So we look at airports, bridges, functional classification, traffic volume, volume capacity ratio, goods movement, travel behavior, safety, and multimodal facilities. Next slide. Thank you. So there are 4 airports. Cumberland County is the home to the Crossville Memorial Airport, has a 5,400 square foot runway. Warren County has the Warren County Memorial Airport, 5,000 square foot runway. White County Airport, they have the Upper Cumberland Regional Airport, and their runway is about 6,700 square feet. And then DeKalb County has a 4,200 square foot runway at the Smithville Municipal Airport. We discussed bridges.
Andrea, we're losing you just a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So bridges, I don't think this is the correct information in here. But we do look at structurally deficient bridges. The total, are they state-owned or locally owned, and then how many we have, and then also the range of years from when they were built, from newest to oldest. Next slide. We look at functional classification as well in this planning document. And I won't go too in depth into that, but that's looking at your interstate, your principal arterial, your minor arterial, your major collectors, your minor collectors, and your local roads, and if any of those need to be changed or modified based upon their current use. So if you have any questions about functional class along a state route, definitely talk to Andrea, Noel, and Rachel. And the next slide will start the traffic volume section of the plan, and I'm going to turn it over to Marika.
Hi, I'm Marika Ortman. I work for the Center for Transportation Research and helped Andrea on this plan. So looking at the traffic volume, we looked at traffic data sets from 2002, 2007, and 2017. And we emphasized on the ADT percentage change between 2007 and 2017. So this area contains many arterial roadways and interstate. And as population industry increase and decrease, the amount of traffic on these roads is expected to reflect those changes. And most roads in the Center Hill RPO had significant increases between 2007 and 2017. Very rapid traffic growth occurred in Putnam, Cumberland, and Warren counties. Next slide. The example of Cumberland County here, the colors on the map represent the decreases and increases. Red represents a significant traffic increase. Yellow is a moderate increase and or decrease, and blue is a large traffic decrease. So Cumberland County experienced some large traffic increases, and some of those occurred on Lantana Road with 45%, and Pomona Road with 35% increase, and Market Street a 22% increase. Next slide, please. That's the example of Van Buren County, and there were more moderate traffic increases and decreases. Van Buren County has many low volume roads, meaning ADTs with less than 1,000. And it had more moderate traffic increases and some traffic decreases. So for example, traffic decreases occurred on Baker Mountain Road with 23%, and then several section of State Highway 11 had some sections with almost 30% decreases. A large traffic increase, for example, happened on State Highway 8 with 30%, and on Archie Reinhardt Parkway, a 184% increase, actually. Next slide, please. We also looked at the volume capacity ratio, and that is a performance measure and is defined as a proportion of a facility's capacity being utilized by current or projected traffic volume. And the VC ratio is, or the data for that is derived from the statewide travel demand model from Tdot. The VC ratio is categorized by colors and measurements on the following maps, and those measurements range between 0 and 1, and any value above 0.5 is potentially concerning and should be monitored for poor traffic flow. And the value exceeding 1 means that there are more vehicles on the road than the road was designed for, so resulting in traffic congestion. And there are very few capacity issues in 2010, or there are few issues in 2010, and more are forecasted for 2040, in particular in Cumberland and Putnam County. So there are some maps. Here's the VC ratio for 2010. There are no issues in Canon, DeKalb, Van Buren, or White counties. In Cumberland County are few roadway sections with capacity issues. For example, a section of Miller Avenue that has almost a VC ratio of 1. And then there are some sections exceeding the 0.5 threshold, like West Avenue, Sparta Highway, North Main Street, and Old Jamestown Highway. In Putnam County, there are also some road sections that have capacity issues. So, for example, section of Interstate Drive and South Willow Avenue at West Spring Street have a VC ratio above 1. So they're likely experiencing congestion. And Foreman Drive and Bill Smith Road have the highest corridor VC ratios that are above 0.5. So those definitely should be monitored. The next slide, please. Oh, sorry. Did I jump already? Oh no. Okay, I jumped. No, okay. So in 2040, there are some more issues as time goes on and traffic is projected to increase. So there are in other counties like Canon County, there are several portions of West Main Street and Woodbury that have a VC ratio above 0.5. And in Cumberland County are a few capacity concerns. I don't want to go through all these, that's a lot. So there's generally an increase of capacity issues that you can look in detail when you look at the plan. So I will go ahead with the next slide. And that is freight movement. I-40 in the RPO is the most important freight corridor in the region as it carries high amounts of truck traffic. And I-40 runs through Putnam and Cumberland counties and connects to Nashville to the west and Knoxville to the east. And therefore, the counties with I-40 crossing through them have a significant amount of truck traffic. And Center Hill RPO has several routes that have, or state routes that have high truck volumes. So for example, State Road 1 in Canon and Warren counties, as well as State Road 111 in Putnam, Van Buren, and White counties. And also State Road 55 in Warren County carries lots of truck traffic as well. And then we also looked at commute and travel behavior. The commute habits of residents in the Central RPO, and also considering some of the surrounding counties. And this travel behavior indicates concentrations of workplaces and localizing commute flows can help plan for travel demand management strategies such as carpooling, van pooling, and park and ride lots. So throughout the Center Hill RPO, the majority of commuting trips end in the same county as they originate, but Putnam County receives large numbers of commuters from other counties in the RPO, as it has some major employers such as the Cookeville Regional Medical Center, the Putnam County School District, and Tennessee Tech and Purdue Farms. So in the next slide, there's some tables that show a little bit more detail, and we also looked at the industry sectors for the commuters. So most commuters work in the education industry, about 23%, followed by trade, almost 20%, and then manufacturing almost, or at 18%. And nearly 76% of RPO residents that work in the arts and entertainment industry, meaning recreation, accommodation, and food services, work in either Putnam or Cumberland counties. And many commuters also working in education travel to Putnam because of the named big employers over there. And 90% of RPO residents working in the trade industry work in Cumberland, Putnam, Warren, White counties. And also we were looking at the neighboring counties, Rutherford and Wilson, and a significant amount of 2,620 Canon County residents commute to Rutherford County as an example. And with that, I will turn it back over to Andrea for safety.
Thank you, Marika, and thank you, Virginia, for helping us with these slides. So throughout the Center Hill RPO, we worked with STID to collect some safety data for you. So between 2014 and 2018, there was a total of 140 safety projects performed in the Center Hill RPO. And these projects include local road safety initiatives, road safety audits, and then the spot safety improvements. We also looked at pedestrian safety, and I won't go into too much detail on this, but of the 445 pedestrian crashes, 327 of those individuals were on foot, while 118 people were cycling. Most of the crashes occurred during the day and during clear weather conditions. Putnam County had 199 of these crashes, while Cumberland County had 100, followed by Warren County with 68. And so we looked at all of these numbers per county. So with all this data, next slide, please, thank you. So with all of this data, we have about a 95-page transportation planning document for you all to review. So we just try to go over the highs and the lows and things that you thought would be important, but a lot of this data that we have came from you all directly. So if some of you remember, we had one-on-one meetings where myself and your RPO coordinator and your OCT folks, we sat down and met with you in your communities and asked you, what do you need? What do you foresee your community needing 5, 10, 20 years out? Where are your concerns? And so from that, we gathered a lot of data. And that's how we got to the goals and the goals and objectives that I'm going to talk about next. And another quick thing I want to add is with the attendance for these meetings, we invited county mayors, municipal mayors, the roadway superintendents, Chamber of Commerce, Public Works, Emergency Management, school board members. And so we really encouraged people to participate so we could hear all perspectives of the transportation needs for Center Hill. So with the goals and objectives, I went through those earlier in the presentation, so I'm not going to spend too much time on them, but you have the goals and then we have some action items, some objectives that you can work with your coordinator and OCT to continue to address these. So I think the meat and potatoes of the plan that a lot of you will have the most interest in, next slide, is the recommendation portion. And so in this, when we're talking about what to look for and what's included. What's included is what was provided by you all when we met with you guys. So this section of the plan is a compilation of identified community concerns during the community engagement process. These recommendations do not guarantee implementation nor funding, but provide identified needs for the Center Hill RPO in the future. And I always love to say, if I could give you the money, I would give all of you the money. But I'm not in charge of the money. So, you know, we're documenting what you say you need, and we're just keeping an eye on it and finding opportunities to provide additional support. These projects have been analyzed and reviewed for the purpose of the Rural Regional Transportation Plan. However, this process does not mitigate the Community Transportation Planning Request, the CTPR, as well as the Strategic Transportation Investment Division's formal process. STID has a process as well. But if you have more questions about the CTPR or STID's process, I would get with Andrea Noel and Rachel on that. So when you're looking at your recommendation maps, there's some things I want you guys to just focus on. So in the legend, we've got some different titles. So multimodal, safety, and other project requests. And we tried to break things down by group. So if your circle or square is blue, that is something that data visualizations, the group within Tdot, something we identified during the planning process. If it's a black circle or square, it's something that you all shared with us, the public, during our meetings. If it's red, that means there was some overlap between what the department found, Tdot, and then what you all said, the community said you needed. So if it's red, that means it's been identified on our radar and it's been identified on your radar. If it's orange, it's freight related. If it's purple, it's maintenance related. If it's a bright blue, it's a resurfacing issue. And then if it's green, we want it to include everything that you all shared with us. So some things may have gone under miscellaneous, and those were just projects that didn't fall under any category that we had already specified. So that's just important to look at when you're reviewing your recommendation maps in the back. Next slide. I don't know, Andrea or Rachel, if either of you want to talk about the CTPR request, or I can keep moving on with the presentation.
I think it's fine just to keep moving on, and people can reach out to Virginia if they have questions about that process.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I'm not going to go through each county, but if you want to look at the first one, we have Canon County. And you can see there were some multimodal access identified, safety identified, freight identified, and then there were some miscellaneous items identified on there. And so each map will have obviously different projects and locations on them, but we tried to address everything that you all shared with us. And so the one map that may look a little different from everyone else is Putnam County. And that's because Putnam County had participated in their own county transportation plan. And so we wanted to include items from their plan in this plan as we continue to work together. It made sense. So that may be the only difference between the other counties. But with that, I'm finished. We do have some methodology and in the appendix. There are additional tables in the back of the plan that can help explain some of the maps. But if any of you have any questions, if there are any edits or anything that needs to be changed, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or to your OCT folks or to Virginia.
Thank you, Andrea. Does anybody have any questions specifically regarding the transportation plan?
I do. Did they indicate how we can access this? Is there a link that I missed so we can review it?
I am planning on sending that out once, I think Andrew was wanting to present it today, and then we'll be sending out the link, and I'll also send out this PowerPoint as well. Is that correct, Andrea?
Yes, and all the plans will be made available online as well.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, will make it available to you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, well, we can move on. Thank you guys so much. The last presenter we have is Miss Ashley Hunter Mason from the Multimodal Division at Tdot, and she's going to talk to us about active transportation counts.
Thank you. So I am the Active Transportation Counts Coordinator for Tdot. They brought me on into this position to try and figure out how we might be able to collect bicycle and pedestrian counts across the state. Do you think we could move on to the slide? Thank you. So one of the main reasons that we want these counts are really to help make some safety decisions, could tie into the last presentation actually, make some planning decisions, and then also just to have a better representation of the different modes of transportation that we really have across the state. So one of the ways that we can get this information are permanent counters that combine an infrared beam and an inductive loop. The image here shows the metal post that houses the infrared beam and also some of the other wiring and batteries that then also connect to that inductive loop. The combination of these two allows us to count both pedestrians and bicyclists with the same piece of equipment. It also differentiates direction, transmits the data wirelessly. This will be a continuous counter, but the counts would be indexed at 15-minute intervals. Now, as trying to plan on how we might be able to get these across the state, Tdot would be able to procure this equipment, but when it comes to the install, we may hit some road bumps in that we might be limited to location based on where existing maintenance projects are already happening. Our timeline might be restricted. So I thought it might be a good idea to reach out to the RPOs and see if there's interest in a partnership where Tdot would procure the equipment, but the RPO would help coordinate the install. This could be done with the different localities, just to try to figure out where the need is and to give the freedom of really choosing the best locations and the best timeline. The install really mainly involves pavement cuts to lay the inductive loop and also to install this post in the ground. A partnership like this would have full data sharing, just full communication to make sure that all needs are met. We would also start with one counter per county if we were able to do this partnership. And then we can kind of go from there. So I think this is a good place to, open up to the different RPOs, see if there's interest. And this is still a very malleable program in partnership. So I would love to, if there's certain needs that need to be met, certain priorities, these counters can be placed on trails, but also can be placed on sidewalks, combining with bike lanes and certain things like that. So there's a lot of different ways we could use these counts. But I think the best way to do it would be a partnership like this that makes sure that everyone is getting the best out of this program. So if anyone has any questions, they can let me know now, or if they come up with some later, we can always talk this through. And again, everything's malleable, open to all discussion at any point when that comes up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. All right, we are done with all of our business on the agenda. So I will ask if there's any other business that anybody would like to talk about. And is there any public comment? Okay, hearing none, we are ready to adjourn. So we'll start with the technical committee. We don't need to do a motion or a second. We can just adjourn. So Chairman Mills.
We're adjourned.
All right, and Chairman Robinson.
Executive committee is adjourned.
All right, thank you guys so much. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day and a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.